Welcome to the Next Level interview series where we combine expert strategies with powerful automation to help you take your business to the next level. I'm Kim Roth. I'm a business automation strategist and the founder of Allura Connections and Tech Simple Solutions. I've spent over 20 years in corporate IT, proving that when your technology and your processes are simple, your business will run smoother. And that's exactly why I created this series. I'm on a mission to help you simplify your software, streamline your systems, and scale without having to hire a huge team. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Jenn Mullen. She is the Mindful Virtual Assistant, and she's going to share her expertise on creating organized systems that actually work. This is something that I know we all need. I know that I need to be more consistent with my stuff, but she is going to share some insights on how to create a powerful CRM that works for us. And if you don't know what a CRM is, that is your customer relationship management system. And it's very important for you to know where your leads and where your clients are in that pipeline and in your customer journey. So, Jenn, welcome. I am so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Please introduce yourself and tell us why you call yourself the Mindful Virtual Assistant.
Sure. So, Jen, Mindful Virtual Assistant. I am from Massachusetts, about 2 hours south of Boston. Little backstory. I used to be in corporate for 14 years, almost 15, and left it because I was burnt out, but I knew I had skills that could apply to smaller business owners. So from there, I went to work at a boutique real estate office and honed my skills and created all their systems and then said, let's throw spaghetti at the wall and see if this works. And it did, thank God. And I call myself the Mindful Virtual Assistant for two reasons. One, I used to be a life coach. So I try to get people to understand that there's a balance in life and you don't have to work 12 plus hours a day to have the life that you want to live. You can care for yourself too, but also to help business owners understand that not everything is an emergency. Not everything needs to happen the minute you have the idea. So I try to get people to understand about being mindful and being present in what's the priority right now. So that's a little bit about why I call myself the mindful virtual assistant, because I don't want to come across as that feeling of like everything has to be super structured because that's not how life is. Simple as that.
So true. And, we had chatted a little bit about this before, but we constantly have ideas
Yes.
and all the time. And just chatting with other people, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. I need to do
Yeah.
that in my business.
Yeah.
You're right. If you're not mindful about your time, you end up, yes, stacking your day. You're working 12, 14 hours a day, and it becomes absolutely crazy. And you're like, I thought I quit a 9 to 5 to have time freedom.
Right? Yes. And I will say on that note, I still sometimes get myself in that mindset of I need to be in this chair from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. No, that's not how life works when you own your own business. It's all about planning your time and using it wisely so make your calendar work for you versus you work for it.
Right. And I know, I would always say, I want to find time. I need to
Yeah.
find time. And then somebody corrected me on that because it's not, you can't find time. You'll never
Right.
find time. You need to make the time and put it on your calendar.
100%.
You need to stick to it.
That's for so many people I mean, myself included.
Huh?
I have stuff on my calendar that I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna move this till tomorrow," even though I really wanna do it to and so I'm not perfect in this game. I know what works. It's just a matter of getting myself to stick to it.
How- Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Because that's the hard part. I can plan all day long.
Yeah.
And then, somebody will call or need something, and there goes my plan.
Yeah, because sometimes clients do call with what they think are emergencies or red flags or fires that need to be put out, and sometimes that totally spins the trajectory of your plan for the day, which is always
So, one thing that I really wanted to talk to you about was when you come in and start helping a client or even in your own business, I know that you really believe in the power of having a CRM.
Mhm.
And why is that? What do you see happening when somebody really focuses on that list of leads or clients coming into their business?
So let me start with when they don't focus on that, because I have worked with people that everything's up here, everything's in their head. They'll just do things when they think of them, like fly by the seat of their pants 24/7. And they do that for a consistent period of time. And then they get to a point where they're exhausted, they're burnt out, they don't know up from down, they can't even see the path through the trees, so to speak, anymore. And so that's one of the reasons I believe in a CRM and getting it out of your head in on quote unquote paper.
Mhm.
It could be as simple as a Google sheet with a list of your people's names, your follow-up times, your notes, or you could use an actual system like HubSpot or Go High Level or whatever else. But I think the most important thing for me to get across to small business owners is that I don't think you can run a business efficiently if everything's in your head, because we have like 30 million thoughts a day, and that might be a little bit of an exaggeration.
And so,
Having so much, like your brain moving, there's no way you're going to remember everything, every conversation, when you need to follow up with people, et cetera, et cetera. So a CRM is like step number one when I start to work with clients based on whatever they do, of course, because some clients don't have other clients. Like, example, one of my clients is a early education facility. They have clients, but they're parents and it's a consistent roster, so it's a little different, but
Mhm.
they need to have some sort of tracking mechanism.
Mhm. Yeah, I assume like they still have a wait list. Or,
Correct.
and so those people still need to be somewhere so that you can
Correct.
visually go find them.
Yes. Yeah. One place, don't have it in multiple places because we've been through that before. Like, let's get it all in one system. And whatever they use, just one place for the wait list, because they do have one, and so they know where it is, they know where to go. It's just a matter of getting them to remember to get there, which
Mhm.
I think they're pretty good about it. But if they didn't have that and it was all just, like, housed in their emails when parents asked about a wait list, how would you remember what order to respond to people in? Like, first come, first serve. So having a CRM is huge. It takes so much less brain power for you to remember, like, what to do next when you have this somewhere. I say to my husband, keys, wallet, cell phone. Literally, I say those 3 things because I'm bound to forget something. And right near our front door, we have a little just, like, bucket that I throw stuff in. He never does. We spend 10 minutes looking for his keys.
And
That it's funny you say that, the keys thing. I guess, yeah, everybody can relate to that part.
yep. Yep. And if you always put in the same spot, then you know right where to go get it. And so it's kind of like the same with your leads and clients. If you always
Yes.
put them in the same spot, then you know exactly where to go find them. They are in a notebook, they are on a sticky note, they aren't right. They can be on a sticky note if you have all the sticky notes go in the same spot and they have the date and all of their information on the sticky note. Like you could use a sticky note as a sticky note process as your CRM.
You could do that. I would not recommend it.
And strong wind will mess up your whole system.
Great sticky notes I find are great for, like, oh, I need to remember to do this at a certain time, or these are things that I need to always remember when I'm doing X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. But yeah, I would not recommend using sticky notes. So listen there.
To the other side, like using it, it works great if it's just you.
Sure. Yeah.
If you have a team or you need to delegate something, they can't see your wall.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Or using a whiteboard, because I've seen people do that too, where they have a whiteboard.
Yep. I have
Sometimes
too.
I have a list of people that I'm interested in.
Okay.
I wanted, but like nobody on my team can see who's on my list. I'm the only one. So if I need them to do something, then I still need to transfer information from my list over to them. And
Yeah.
if I just had it in a system where we can all get to it and we can all see it, we can all put notes in there,
Yep.
we're much, much further ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. Something online. And like I said, it could be as simple as a Google Sheet to as big as an actual system.
Mhm.
As long as everybody on your team has access to it. And I mean, even with the Google Sheet, you can monitor history so you know who updated what when. Like it's helpful to have it online for sure.
So what stages or what buckets do you recommend that somebody has in their CRM? So you have, lead coming in, clients, like how do you
Yep.
recommend setting that up?
So I always recommend like basic information to start. So name, company, where they're located, having like the time zone is important
Mhm.
based on if you're going to pick up the phone and call or send a text message. You don't want to be sending a text to somebody at 6 a.m. their time.
Yeah.
And not
That's
everybody uses
most
do not
people.
disturb. Those 3 things for sure. Obviously, phone number, email, that phone number, whether or not it's text friendly is helpful to understand if that you can send them a text message because some people don't love phone calls.
Mhm.
Phone calls are helpful for, like, really quick, like, fast emergency things, but not everybody loves that. So, like, basic profile information for sure. Like, who are they? How can you reach them? And then when you get to if we use the case of the lead, for example, what's the date that you initially spoke with them? What did you talk about? When are you gonna follow up with them and how? And then keep it going from there. So some sort of note-taking system for
Mhm.
you to be able to keep track of the conversations you
Mhm.
and then I also recommend having reminders. So because the notes are great if you put them in there and say, "Okay, I'm gonna follow up with this person in 2 weeks." If you don't have a reminder to remind you to do that, 2 weeks can come and go, and you've completely lost it. You've completely lost the chance to stay connected with that lead and might even lost their business because you didn't reach out. So reminders are also huge. And then when I said profile information, one of the things I didn't say, but I should have, is something about them, meaning not just their business. Make it personal. Do they have a dog? Like, do they have a favorite restaurant? Do they like to go to the beach once a week? I don't know. Just make it up. Whatever, something personal for that person so you can incorporate that in conversation and make it so you start to actually get to know that person. That goes into the notes that you're going to take. But I think those pieces are really important to have. There's also other pieces if we're still talking about leads, like dollar amounts, services. What are you trying to target them for? How much is this potential lead going to bring into your business? So we could get even like way further, but I think the way I think about it is all those pieces I've already said, in addition to anything and everything that you could think about that person. So I use HubSpot, for example. I have a place to like categorize all that information and give myself reminders on when I should follow up with these people. It also gives me a note, incorporates my emails so that way I can talk to everybody, but I can put in there like likes the beach and check that off. So I remember when I go to have a conversation with that person, they're like, "Oh my god, they remembered me, not just my business. It wasn't just about a sale."
Mhm.
I think when you start to build your CRM, not only have the important pieces, but have those pieces that are gonna make them, meaning your lead, feel appreciated, cared for, actually nurtured, like they're not just a number.
Right. I mean, and those little, like that little tip is gold because that also gives you the opportunity to kind of like send them a reel or send them, a funny post because like dachshunds, like the people that own dachshunds,
Yeah,
dachshunds. And so like, if you know somebody that owns one,
I
like
do.
send them a funny reel, you can tag them in something and you know that you're going to make them laugh,
100%.
reply back to you and start that conversation. So like those little things that you can incorporate just
Yeah.
into building that relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even before you work with them, while you work with them, after
Right.
you connected. And
Yeah.
is such a good tip.
Yeah. It's huge. It's one thing I do with everybody. I even ask for their birthday because I want to know. I know this sounds silly. I want to send them an email or an actual card in the mail if I can get their address.
Mhm.
Just a birthday card that says, "Hey, I'm just wishing you the best." Like that goes, those little touches, I think go such a long way, not only in your lead to client relationship, but also after they become a client.
Mhm.
They feel cared for. They feel like it's not just about the tasks you're doing. Like they're an actual person. So yeah, that would be number one. One for number one tip for everybody.
Well, and even, those collaborators, the people that come into your world where you're
Yeah.
like, we may or may not become a client contractor relationship, but they are going to either be a great connector or a great collaborator for me. Like I can just see it. I mean, kind of like us. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we think a lot alike. We work with a lot of the same people, but we do different things.
Hmm.
So, those people can help you grow your business. And so you don't want to lose track of them either. And so having, even having them categorized, like your CRM categorized for client, connector, collaborator, gives
Yeah.
you always a list of people to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the key. We never have enough people to talk to.
I know. I know.
We do, but we just don't know where they are because we don't have them in the list.
Exactly. And I love the fact that you mentioned like the status of who that person is. I didn't even think to mention that, but I actually have that in my CRM too. Because I wanna know if they're a lead, they're a client, they're like a referral, someone I could refer somebody to. They are whatever, you can make up whatever name you want for that segment, but then once you've got them in that bucket, then you can email them all together, and if you're targeting them for something, but yeah, it's helpful to know who they are and, like, where do they fit in to your business.
Yeah. 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 Because then you always, like you said, you always have somebody to reach out to then because you have
Oh,
a list somewhere.
yeah.
So one of the things that I know I've done in the past is when like, and I'll just keep it so super simple. So I have a lead come in, they book a call. So in my pipeline, I can see that they booked a call. Like that's a column in my spreadsheet, say.
Yep.
And then from book a call, they become a client. And so when I move them over to new client, then I can kick off a series of automations
Mhm.
or like the welcome email and the contract and, setting up their client folder if they're a brand new client, like, kicking off an automation to set up the Google folder structure that I use. And then, once the project is complete, then I move them over to a stage,
Mhm.
send out an email for testimonials. What other automations have you seen people use with a CRM or what have you used with clients before?
So it's funny that you say that because currently with HubSpot, I don't have the capability of doing automations because of the paid tier I'm on.
Mm.
So all of that stuff that you just mentioned, I right now do manually, and it is not the best way. So automations are huge. Having your system carry them through that is so helpful because you don't have to do so much. So, one of the reasons I am slowly but surely moving to go high level is for exactly what we just talked about. But in addition to the ones that you mentioned, I have clients that use automations for rental space. So they have a rental space for a birthday party. We set up automations for that person for when they book, they get an automatic email that collects their data for the party. That automatically gets sent to the person who manages all the rentals. And they don't have to do too much but know about the information. But that person, that renter, then goes on to an email sequence that gives them all the details that they need, like, leading up to their party or their event. So that's one of the ways that I love automations is that you can have all that stuff set up in the background, so you don't have to manually check in with this person leading up to the whatever the date is. you don't have to answer questions if you've got it built into one of those emails. You can have frequently asked questions, which this particular client does. And yeah, there will be things that aren't on that list that they'll reach out for, but that reduces the amount of manual intervention that needs to happen. So I'm a huge proponent of having automations and things that are a repetitive process that's going to happen all the time, never or not really ever going to change. Have those things automated so you don't have to worry about them. So, like in what you said, Kim, the lead process, lead to client to during the project, that's one way. The
Mhm.
way my client has it for the rental spaces, that's another way. But
Mhm.
there are things that you can automate that I can't even think of right now, but I know are out there. And with AI happening, every day there's more that you can automate. And I think if business owners aren't taking advantage of that, they need to be, especially in their CRMs. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I know. And one of the key things that High Level has been putting out is their AI pieces for AI conversations. So even like what you're talking about, like those frequently asked questions that you have from customers, having a way for them to start a chat on your website with, hey, I just have a question, blah, 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 and they can put it in there. If you have the resources behind there where AI can go pull from those and answer that question, that's
yeah,
another way to cut back on the number of customer service questions that you have to deal with.
yeah,
Like the other side is, and the questions that you're getting that are new, those are the ones that you have to go either add into those emails or add into the resources so that the next time somebody asks, you can have that automated process answer
yeah.
their questions for you.
Yeah, and that's not only helpful for a business owner, it's also helpful for the customer or the client. So they don't have to wait 24 hours for an answer to their question. They can have it built in to that chatbot or that email sequence that you send
Yep.
them. So that way it almost makes them feel, I think, makes them feel like they're more cared for because you're giving them the information without them having to ask differently or call someone because who wants to pick up the phone to answer nobody. Sad, but it's true. Like, I am the first to say I will not pick up a phone. I would rather go online and try and find my answer. So,
Yep. Text somebody or yeah, go find it myself.
exactly. Exactly. And having that chatbot that you're talking to, that's massive, I think. I'm seeing it being added to websites more and more and more, and it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
totally worth it.
Yeah. And it's not that hard to set up, really. I mean, you just be patient with it and know that you're going to continue to add information to it and you
Yeah.
start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's not
Right.
just getting started with it and continuing to build on it. So for people that are listening here and they're like, my leads are all over the place. I still have the sticky notes over there. I have a notebook. How do you recommend somebody to get started with the CRM? Like, what is that first step? And then just the baby steps that would go along with it to staying consistent with it.
Sure. So, first of all, I think it depends on where the client is. Do they have the budget to incorporate software as a CRM? Or do they want to start like free and just do things like easy, but don't cost anything?
Hmm.
So, I think you have to figure that piece out first. I have another client that she doesn't have the budget. So, right now we have a Google Sheet.
Hmm.
She adds all her clients to by she's a teaches children's etiquette classes. And so we have parent name, the student name, the email address for the parent, the classes that they took, what town they took it in, and then a follow-up date for that.
Hmm.
So we started there. We said, you know what? How can we make this work and have a place where you have one place for all of your clients, all of their contact information, even the date that they were added to your email marketing system. We just started with a Google Sheet. So if somebody does have sticky notes all over the place or notebooks in 5 different places, I would say just go simple. Get it in one place to start. You don't have to start with this major, like, expensive system in order to get something in place. Just pick one and start. And that's why I think a Google Sheet is probably like the easiest place to go. You can add so many columns for whatever you need. You can have all your information there But then the catch is that you have to actually look at it.
Mhm.
And I know I am good about this probably 4 days a week. I get in there every single day, first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, okay, what's on my plate? Who do I have to reach out to? Who do I have to follow up with? Touching it every morning kind of sets me up for success for the rest of the day. So even if you go with just a simple spreadsheet, you need to use it. You can't just put them all in there and then think that it's going to work for you magically.
Yeah.
That's not how it happens, unfortunately. So start small, start simple. Like I said, start with a Google Sheet if that works for you, but then go that next step and actually touch it every single day. The other thing I would say when it comes to Google Sheets, colors are your friend. So I like to use like the stoplight method,
Mhm.
like red, yellow, green. So red to me means somebody I've reached out to that I'm gonna keep on that list, but they're dead, so to speak. They're not gonna we're not gonna work together at this point. Highlight that person in red.
Mhm.
Yellow would be somebody who maybe you want to keep coming back. You want to keep, touching in with them like every 3 to 6 months if they're not ready. And then greens are like, those are your good people. Those are the people that are totally ready. You just need to get them to sign on the dotted line.
Mhm.
Well, use colors too, and you don't have to use red like, the stoplight.
Yeah.
That's what works
I
for my
use it too.
brain.
Yep. I use
Okay?
it too.
Like, it's just the easiest way to think about it. So, the colors, when you open that sheet, again, if that's where you start, you're automatically going to see all these colors. Your brain is going to trigger to know, okay, these yellows are the people I need to like focus on. And you can change up your colors, create your own system for like once you've done your follow-up, change it to orange or whatever. But start simple and then touch it every day. Don't 2 steps, 100%. And I know the touch it every day is going to be like, oh, do I really have to? The team member, assign it to your team member.
Yeah.
Let them do it.
Mhm.
But yes, I think you need to, once you get one, you have to be in it because if you're not in it, you have the chance of losing leads or losing businesses or losing clients if you're not in touch with these people
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the key, touch it every day, but the other one is it's one place.
One place.
One place. You don't have clients here you don't have clients in your CRM, like a software CRM. You don't have links in a spreadsheet. Like you need one place so that when you go look at it, you're looking at everybody.
Everybody. Exactly. Yeah.
And I know I've used Trello board in the past too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's like another easy way to start because Trello's free. They have a
Yep.
version and just putting it in there and they have comments and so you can add comments there and
Yep.
of information inside of there. So that's another option that would be free and easy place to start.
Yeah. Trello would be great and it's very user friendly. You can add colors. You can even add automations in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do it on the free plan, but yeah, that's a perfect example if especially for somebody who doesn't have a lot of follow-ups when you don't need a huge spreadsheet. I love that idea for Trello because you can have your lists and actions for each person or however you choose to set it up.
Yeah. Because the other key is like you have to start with this manual process. You can't just jump into automations.
Yes.
Because if you don't know how it works manually, you can't put an automation together. I mean, I just had a conversation not that long ago with a client and we're trying to set up automations. And they're like, well, sometimes we'll go out and do the service, but we don't have the agreement signed. So we still need the agreement signed. And I'm like, that doesn't work with automation because my automation that we want to set up is triggered on them signing the agreement. So if you
Right.
not, like we lose track of them. And so they actually had to go back to the drawing board and think about what they wanted that process to be, because then they're kind of like, yeah, that is causing a problem because sometimes the service person doesn't get the agreement signed and then we lose track of it. And yeah. And so I'm like, so they went back to figure out, okay, how can we make this process go step by step? Because if
Yeah.
you do it manually, you can't, automations don't work. They'll break.
Right.
Cause-
Right. That's such a smart way to look at it too, because even like with an SOP, for example, you need to give a step-by-step way on how you do this particular process. I think the same relates to a CRM. Like step 1 is the contact, step 2 is signing the agreement, step 3 is the service. But if you never get step 2 done, you can't move on to step 3.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what you're talking about when it comes to the automations is like you have to have your step by step. Having all that in place before you get to the automations not only helps you understand how the process is going to work, but also protects you as a business, I think. Like, I mean, I've done it. I've done a service without having an agreement signed.
Yeah.
And then, like, shoot, I shouldn't have done that.
Now what do I do?
It's like, we've all done it, right? Yeah. Having that process in place manually to then go into the automations kind of gives you almost like a backbone as a business owner. Sorry, I can't move on to doing this until this step is done. So, yeah, I love that point about having it manually so you can actually see your step by steps before you can get to automation because it is a step by step process.
Yeah.
Even though somebody's doing it for us, that's like a
Yeah, but I mean, even if you wanted to delegate it to somebody, they need a step-by-step process to follow.
exactly
Because if you don't follow it, they're going to be asking you questions, and that was
right.
the delegate. So in order to delegate, you need the process.
Yes, exactly. I'm going through writing, like helping a client get their SOPs out of their head and on paper right now
Uh-huh.
because of this reason. Like, we want to be doing things consistently and the same, and having it in a step by step format, they're like, oh, this is so good. And I'm like, yeah. And then we can start to automate some of this stuff. Yeah. Getting it in that format is so helpful before you just jump right in.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. So thank you so much. I think we covered a lot here and gave a ton of ideas. I mean, the key is to keep it simple.
Mhm.
Always the key. And with the CRM, like you said, is to look at it and keep it up to date. Otherwise, you're in chaos all the time if you don't.
Or
So if you're watching, please, there will be a link here below to connect with Jenn, and there will also be a link for you to get on my email list. If you never want to miss another episode in this next level series, get on my email list. And I want to add that if you have any questions about automations or CRM, you can reply to any email that I ever send you and ask me your question. I'm always happy to answer those. And last but not least, remember that business growth doesn't mean that your business have to be more complicated. That is why we want to integrate strategic automations into your business so that you can take your business to the next level and keep it simple. Thank you, Jenn.
thank you. Thanks for having me.